What's up guys, PPD here and welcome to another episode of the Trophy Cabinet. Today's tournament is the FUT United tournament version 2 because we've obviously had another FUT United earlier in the year. EA do 2 FUT Uniteds a year and this is the second edition of that tournament. This time around it would be a little bit different though because the requirements for this tournament were to have 4 Chelsea players, 4 Real Madrid players, 4 PSG players, and 4 Wolfsburg players in the starting 11 and bench. And we go into the final straight away. We come across this guy who's got 88 chemistry, a bunch of players out of position, and some players on low chem. So it was a little bit of an interesting side. And the team that you saw I am using, I actually built it myself because I wanted to see if I can build one. I built one. It ended up playing pretty well in the other games. Not too great. I feel like it could have been better. But I did something that I normally don't do, and that is switch formation. I wanted to try out the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow because it is something I'm also experimenting on my other series, Manchester City, the road to Manchester City. So I wanted to kind of try out that, and it got me to the final. But early on, he would get the first goal over here with Willian. Great dribbling right there, and that's actually Remy. I got confused because of the afro. But he finds, oh, it was Willian. What the hell? He finds the back of the net with Willian early on, and he did have a great chance early on too to score. So it was a long time coming, and then we would make a bad mistake with the trap over here as we throw the ball right to Ramirez. Ramirez has a shot from distance because he sees the trap out of his net, finds the back of the net, and we head into the second half, 2-0 down in the final, not looking good. And in the second half, he brought on some subs over there, Lucas and Aubameyang, 2 very fast players as reinforcements that would do some damage because of their fresh legs. But in the 61st minute, we would find an equalizer over here. Isco somehow doesn't lose the ball right there, and Benzema just blasts it into the top left corner, finds the back of the net, and gets us a very crucial goal with a lot of time left. And I thought, you know what, it's time for some subs. Let's bring on some fresh legs, and hopefully they can impact this game, and maybe we can find ourselves a second goal to get back into it, and maybe win it with an with a winner in the last minutes of the game, or maybe in overtime or something like that. So I went ahead, brought on some guys. I think I brought on Shirley and 2 other fast guys. I'm not too sure who they were. I didn't get to see them right there, but in the 87th minute, we would have a chance at an equalizer over here. Shirley passes it to Modric. Modric with a great chance to make it 2-2. But a poor finish by me right there. I really should have scored right there. And that would be the only chance we'd get in that to find an equalizer. And unfortunately, we didn't score it. So we ended up losing the final 2-1, another final that we lost, but there was still plenty of time. We had time to get back into the final, and that is what we did. This time with a new team though. I wanted to switch back to the formation I always use, the 4-3-3-4. I've had success with it in the past, so if it ain't broke, I guess don't fix it. So I went ahead on Foothead, link in the description to the squad I used. Built that squad. It did play pretty well. I didn't have to actually play that many games to get to the final, which was a bit surprising because I really struggled throughout this tournament to get back into the final. The opponents in this were very, very tough, and it was a little bit difficult to get into the final. But we finally got into the final, and we came across this guy who had a pretty weird squad because it wasn't that great of a squad. It was also on low fitness, but as you saw there, he did bring on, I think, Aubameyang and Douglas Costa as some pretty pacey reinforcements. But in the 15th minute, we would find a goal right there with Pato, who I used throughout the tournament a lot. And despite him getting that goal right there, I honestly hated him. Like, his positioning was probably his weakest point. And over here, he would have a great chance with Oscar to find an equalizer. Great piece of skill right there. Unfortunately, though, his weak foot wasn't good enough. And thankfully for us, we head into the first half 1-0 up. Need to find a second goal because this guy is piling on the pressure. And I did something that I normally don't do, and that is subs in the 45th minute. But I really felt like these players weren't playing good enough for a final. Brought on Remy, took off Oscar, who also wasn't playing well for me. These players were just players that I honestly did not like. And that is another reason why I struggled throughout the tournament. I just didn't feel like these guys were that great. But we bring on Remy, we bring on Modric. 2 players that also weren't too great for me throughout the tournament, but I feel like Remy is better than Pato, and Modric is definitely better than Oscar at camp. So we go ahead, do that sub, and in the 50th minute, he would find an equalizer, and what a terrible equalizer that was, because Trap saves it, but he somehow manages to hit it into the net, and I couldn't believe it. Stuff like this, I honestly don't want happening in the final, but it is what it is. There's still plenty of time for us to grab a winner, and over here, Rodriguez would almost grab that winner right there from a free kick. Casillas, though, with a very Casillas-like save right there, keeps him in the game. And in the 75th minute, we would grab a corner over here. Rodriguez swings it in. Naldo wins the header. Marquinhos finds the back of his own net, and that was a little bit of a cheese goal. I guess it was kind of karma for his goal being kind of bad, but it's definitely not something you want to be conceding in the final, and I kind of felt bad for this guy. And we would only make things worse for him in the 80th minute because Willian has a shot outside the box, tucks it into the bottom left corner, and gets us a very crucial third goal right there, as we now have the 2-goal cushion with 10 minutes left. And in the 90th minute, we would get one last chance over here. Remy threw on goal, does a cut right there, should have lost the ball right there, but it bounces right back to him, and once again we score a terrible deflection goal. I just felt so bad for this guy because he was down 3-1 with a goal. He probably could have got back into it, and then we scored that terrible goal. So a pretty deserved victory, I would say, but two of the goals we scored were pretty bad. And it would have been interesting to see how things would have turned out if he had scored with Oscar earlier on and stuff like that. So we end up on top. That's just how the cookie crumbles. And we win the FUT United Cup, a cup that I really thought I wouldn't win because I really struggled throughout. And we go ahead and add that to our trophy cabinet. Go ahead and open the pack. We get Rojo, which isn't too great, but it doesn't matter too much because the player is untradeable anyways, and it should help us in the future if we ever need to use these guys. Anyways, guys, this is going to conclude this episode. My name is Bibideed, and I'm out.